people here that have come to me and say, you know, I know your Sifu in Hong Kong. And I was like, really? And I go to Hong Kong and I asked him, Sifu, you know him or him? And he said, show me a picture. He said, I don't know them and I never talked to them. He said to me, Troy, how many people from USA I teach? I said, I don't know. How many you see? Nobody here but me.
Back. Hoping all of you are having a beast of a year. Because believe me, we've got a ton more in store for you guys, all right? Thanks again, guys, to you for all of the love and support. It really means so much, helping me to grow the channel. And I want to remind you that if you are new to the channel, go ahead and smash that like button down below. Let me know that you're into the vid so we can continue and also get to more of the things you'd like to see right here. Okay, we got another 5 questions with yet another Kung Fu master. This time, as E40 would say, we're headed up to the Yay area, not the Yay area, because that's another artist, to catch up with Sifu Troy Dunwood and hear what he's got to say about the state of martial arts. And remember, guys, to hang out to the end of this video so you can see some special self-defense techniques from Troy Layfoot, which is, of course, Sifu Troy's specialty. Let's go! Troy Dunwood, how you doing, sir?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. And I have to, intro you to the audience a little bit and say that just a little background. I guess, I've seen you here and there, and we've kind of bumped into each other when we with Master Hamby's Gathering the Masters or whatever, but I've never formally met you, so nice to formally meet you.
Right. Cool.
Say that. So for everybody out there that may not know about you, can you give us like a brief little history of when you started in Kung Fu?
Sure. So I started in the ripe year of 1969. My Sifu was Yun Chen in San Francisco, and he taught Pek Hua Mun and Mai Zhong system. But when I was coming up, he never said to us, you're learning Pek Hua Mun or Mai Zhong. He always said Northern style and Southern style, because he also taught a Southern style called Tongga. My young years, I knew my Kung Fu as Northern style and Southern styles, and a few years in, I come to find out, oh, the style I'm learning is Pek Hua Mun and Mai Zhong. And so that was very interesting. But, at that time, that was hard, because even though Sifu Yun was a friend of my dad, I was bullied a lot back in those days.
Oh, okay.
But, it was something that I just kind of learned and sucked it up and stuck with it. I don't think I turned out too bad.
Yeah, no, I would say you did just fine. Now, on your journey out there to and primarily now, do you do Troy Layfoot at your school, or it's a mixture?
Well, what I do now is, I don't really have no one particular system because I like it all. A lot of people associate me with Troy Layfoot, in which I've been with my Sifu Dino from Hong Sing in San Francisco for over 40 years. But I also practice Pek Hua Mun. I also practice Mai Zhong. I also practice Ying Jiao. I practice Hongga. I practice Wing Chun. So my 2 main teachers now, Sifu Dino and Sifu Lee Chun Sam in Hong Kong. And Sifu Lee's curriculum in Hong Kong is more of the Jing Mo. So it's predominantly Northern style, but I also practice with him Lak Hak Pa Pa, water style.
Gotcha.
So I don't put no one style over the other, but I like Troy Layfoot, I like Pek Hua Mun, I like Lak Hak Pa Pa. But I wake up today and I want to practice Ying Jiao, I practice Ying Jiao. I wake up and I want to play Wing Chun, I do it.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So it's great. You have a mixture of Northern and Southern styles.
Exactly.
So how did you make the transition over, or was it just a gradual thing when you actually started teaching?
back in the day, we had a theater in San Francisco, Chinatown called Great Star Theater. And if you was lucky to get there early in the morning, you saw the original Wong Fei Hong black and white movies with Kwan Da King.
Wow. Right? Yeah.
But everybody was going to go see the, you know, the Shaw Brother movies. The Lao Ga Leong. And I read an article in one of the old Real Kung Fu magazines, and it listed the styles that Lao Ga Leong knew. And I read that article, and I saw those styles, and then I saw his movie, My Young Auntie. And I said I had to learn everything that this man knew, thinking I was going to turn out like him. I learned the different things, but it was like, okay, I'm no Lao Ga Leong. But that's what sparked my interest really into learning different styles, that man. And I tell his successor, Mark Halton, to this day, is your Sifu who's put me on the path that I'm on, you know. He's the one that did it, you know.
Got you.
But, you know, I always, because I was bullied, when I started teaching was, you know, I have this thing of not holding back, and I like to give my students variety. They may come to me and say they want to learn Cholefa. And I say, well, listen, that's nice, fine, and dandy, but here, let's contrast it with a little Wing Chun, just so you have an idea how other things work. You know, so I kind of cross-train people a lot, even though they would have the specialty. And most of the people that I teach now, they're learning Cholefa.
So yeah, that, you know, actually leads, well, first thing, since you mentioned being bullied when you were growing up, once you started learning martial arts, did you actually have to use your martial arts kind of mediate those things with the bullying and stuff, or? You know,
it's kind of funny because I used to talk to Sifu, and Sifu act like he didn't care. I had that impression that he didn't care, okay. But actually he did, and it was just the way that he did things. You know, and it was like, you know,
old school.
Exactly.
You know, I'm all about old school.
You gonna leave, or you gonna suck it up?
Right.
Well, it ended up being that the very guys that used to bully me back in the day.
Now that's bullying.
In years gone by, now they come to me for training, which I thought was, you know, okay, you remember what you guys used to do to me back in the day, but, you know, now the tables have kind of changed, and, you know, for our Sifu's curriculum, now they come to me to put the pieces back together, you know, and
going full circle, right?
Exactly. You know, which is, I don't really hold it against them. It's like it's part of the journey, you know.
Absolutely. So would you say when you have students come in now, are they mainly looking for self-defense, or or you still have a bunch that are looking for that traditional style as well, or is it a mixed bag? What would you say?
Most of the people that I teach now, they are of a fight-oriented nature. Everybody that I teach, I kind of have a conference with them before I start teaching.
Oh, okay.
And then because what I believe is that Kung Fu has, is, and always will be a fighting art.
Yes, sir.
And there are many other things you can do, but when it comes to Kung Fu, you know, it's about fighting. I mean, if you go back to the village days, it was about a pitchfork to ward off the wild animals.
Yes, sir.
You know, and things. It's always been a fighting art. And so I've always impressed upon people, like my teachers impressed upon me. They asked the one question, Troy, what's the secret of Kung Fu? I say, practice. They say, no, it's knowing how to use it.
Yeah.
That's the secret. Not what's it for,
right? But
how to use it. Because everybody can show what it's for.
Yeah.
But show me how to use it in a street fight.
Yes.
Now, that's a different story, because the whole dynamic of what it's for and how to use it, it's like night and day. It changed, you know, because these things are popping, you know, and so I teach things, and then I like to stop and show people what's this for, but then go into, you know, more practically, how do you use it in a real self-defense situation, you know? And I tell them, you know, it's like, look, I have to be honest with you. These are only scenarios. You won't really know until you really get yourself inside that situation, and then, but this is where your practice come in.
Right.
You know, this is what you practice for. So if that ever happens, you know, hopefully you're going to come back home the way you left, in one piece.
Absolutely. You get home safe. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I get it. So let me turn talk a little bit about your tournament history, because you've done tournaments for many years. What
Yeah.
was that? Yeah, like just a natural thing for you? Did you always want to compete, or how did that happen?
No, you know, the reason why I competed back in the day was really for my students.
Okay.
You know, and it really was, I mean, at the time I had young students who competing, and I just wanted to give them support. So I went out there and let them know that, hey, you know, these bones are not that old. Now go out there and have some fun with you, you know, and you know, and that's what that was all about. I mean, it's cool to go out there and, you know, be amongst your friends and peers, and, you know, and compete in the name of goodwill and all that kind of thing, you know. But for me, it was really just supporting my guys who was doing it. So just to let them know that, hey, listen, you know, if you guys want to go out there and go represent the club, then hey, I'm gonna come hang with you, you know. And that's what it was. I never really had any ambition to become that person.
Right, to be like
my good friend Philip Wong. I mean, he was that person. I mean, he started going to the tournaments, and he went as far as China to become in second place to the Chinese competitors over there, you know. So, but that wasn't my route. I mean, my thing was just to go support my people.
How long have you actually been a Sifu? Because you like you said, you studied different arts. How long has that been? I
was formally allowed to teach and was given the title in 1987 by my Sifu Dino Salvatierra to teach Hong Sing Chole Fut. So now, when I go back to Hong Kong, so my Sifu Lee Chun Sam, he now gives me permission to teach his material here in the USA.
Very nice.
So when people see my Sifu, because he posts a lot of stuff on YouTube, and they see my material here, but contrary to some people that learn his material by YouTube, I'm actually authorized to teach his material here in the USA. And to my understanding, he haven't given anyone else that
honor. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and that's a whole nother story, because there's so many people here that have come to me and say, you know, I know your Sifu in Hong Kong. And I was like, really? And I go to Hong Kong and I asked him, Sifu, you know him or him? And he said, show me a picture. Show me a picture. He said, I don't know them and I never talked to them. He said to me, Troy, how many people from USA I teach? I said, I don't know. How many you see? Nobody here but me.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. So, you know, these people just talking.
Everyone's going to claim to know such as
exactly.
Yeah, it's the same with my Sigong, as you know, Lung Shum. It's like, Sigong, I met such I don't know them. I don't know. It's like
exactly.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
Like, I only know the people that I trained. He's got a little book, and everybody that's tested under him. That's
exactly. And see, and that is the way my Sifu Dino is. Okay. He have his book.
Yeah.
He can tell you when they started, when they stopped coming, what they learned,
how far they went. Exactly.
Yeah.
So what do you think is so special about, I was going to ask you this about Chole Fut in particular, because I know a lot of people, even when I was back in New York on the East Coast, they really gravitate towards it because of the power and the striking and all that. But what do you think is so special about Chole Fut?
You know, one of the things that I think that's really good about Chole Fut is you literally can learn Chole Fut in the morning and use it at night.
Right.
That's how practical it is.
Yes, sir.
But I think one of its strong points is its natural ability. It doesn't steer too far away from any one person's natural ability. So by that I mean it's like by a natural guard in Chole Fut, a natural guard, you know, it's nothing that you really have to put a lot, but when Chole Fut was designed to be a practical system, it was designed to be a practical system. You look at a style, for example, like Chole Fut in comparison to Eagle Claw.
Yeah.
There's a lot of intricacies in Eagle Claw.
Yep, for sure.
A lot of intricacies. You're just not gonna, you know, the average person is just not gonna get that overnight. you know, but in Cholepa, it's just a lot of the motions, people naturally do it, but they're not aware of it until they get into a class, and it's, you know, it's like, it's natural motion that people really can, like, you know what, I can really get into this like really quickly.
So something I wanted to ask you a real quick question, because this is what I read about, that your students always talk about, the invisible hands and all about your style, because you're constantly changing techniques. Is that something that they coined that phrase, or?
Yeah, because there used to be a Sifu named Bill Chen. He used to teach at Golden Gate Park.
Okay.
He used to teach Tai Chi.
Nice.
And he's like old school. He was one of the eyewitnesses to the Bruce Lee Wong Jack Man fight.
Wong Jack Man fight, okay.
I've come to accept your challenge.
Bill Chen told me like this: Troy, don't take so long to figure out what took us so long to figure out. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
What's up with that?
He later came to tell me this like this: when I was a young man, I used to practice this too.
Right. Yep.
As I got, but then I started doing Tai Chi. Start practicing your Tai Chi early.
Yes.
You know, preserving your body.
Yes.
You know, and this kind of thing. And so when I would play around with my students, I would constantly change styles, techniques from this style, techniques from that style, techniques from this style. And they was like, we can't follow you.
Okay.
You know, and so that's where that kind of slang came from. I look at it this way. They say, that's a Cholepa punch. And I was like, no kidding. Well, that's my arm swinging in an arc.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be a Cholepa punch? You mean I'm Cholepa is the only people that do that? I don't think so.
Right.
So I kind of like getting kind of cuckoo as I get older.
I see what you're saying. The breakdown is because it's kind of like the old adage when I tell people sometimes about when they go, oh, I don't know the difference between kung fu, karate. Listen, at the end of the day, a kick is a kick, a punch is a punch, right?
There it is.
So, you know,
there it is.
The same thing. Don't get too wrapped up in the minutiae of what's what.
Exactly.
The effectiveness of what we're doing.
I just like kung fu in general.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, yeah, we do what's effective, right? And then two, it's the whole idea that Bruce Lee once said, you know, you use what's useful, discard what's useless, right?
Exactly.
Make your own. Oh, by the way, since you mentioned the Tai Chi Sifu,
Bill Chen,
yeah, since he said he witnessed the fight, did he say who won?
No.
He never said he won.
You know what? And here's the cool part. My Sifu Dino, his wife was Bill Chen's very first student.
Oh, really? Okay.
But Bill Chen would never talk about it.
Okay. All right. So if people want to come up there, train with you, you know, how can they do that? Do you guys have a website or? I
moved from the Bay Area to the Valley. So I'm in Citrus Heights near Sacramento.
Okay.
And so I teach a class every Sunday morning in Fair Oaks. Okay. And then I'm in Oakland on Saturday in Oakland, Chinatown. And most people just call me by my cell, 510-316-9829, and call me up. And, you know, most people just come down. I allot people to come down and watch what we do, you know, ask questions. I let them, you know, get on the floor with us and, you know, and see what they like, if they like it, you know, and then they come back and, you know, we start going at it, you know, and, and that's how we do. Very informal now, you know.
This is my final feature. It's called 5 Crucial Questions for Kung Fu Masters.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Time served, how long they've been training, and how strong their sense to have a strong foundation. I think that teachers that in which I know a lot of them, that want to jump from step A to step D to step H, and, you know, shortchanging the student. And I think that, you know, any teacher that really sincerely stress the foundation, to me, is the one who gets my high five. Yeah, I think forms are like the dictionary of each style. It's information contained, but I believe that, you know, it was never meant to be taken verbatim the way the form is shown. It was just a collection of ideas and thoughts of our patriarchs. But then, and with the idea that, you know what, I go and take this and I may mix it with this and I go work it out and work it out and work it out. But I don't believe that it was ever intended verbatim the way forms are, because, you know, it's a scenario, and all the scenarios that are laid out in forms don't always work out in real life. You know, it would be nice if it worked that way, but it don't. Yeah. Things change constantly, and makes the movements in the form. It's like you have it, but sometimes you have to draw it out and isolate it, and then work on it separately outside of the form. But I think they're very useful, and they contain a lot of valuable information. But it takes somebody that really have an understanding to be able to point that out, draw it out, you know, and so that any one given person can get the most out of it. Unfortunately, a lot of our Kung Fu brothers never learn how to use their movements. And why? And what I mean by that is a lot of them are stuck on taking what's it for as how do you use it, right. Not realizing that listen, everybody that learned Kung Fu is an individual, and it was never intended for me to adapt myself to it. It should be always adapting itself to me. So if this may be my style, but this is Troy, so that this have to conform to this in order for me to make it a reality. And I think a lot of Kung Fu people haven't come up to that level yet. They're still trying to do this in this type of world. And, you know, and because they don't exercise this, when they come across it, it's foreign to them. They're used to this. They're used to a spar set and things of that nature. You know, spar sets on the street. A guy told me one time like this. He was like, you want to fight? You got to get in the ring. You know, it'll show you one way or another. You know, it'd be a blessing or a curse. But I think that's, to me, that's the major problem with a lot of Kung Fu brothers that can't apply their stuff, is because they are looking at it still in the sense of the traditional way when we are in a modern reality. I don't really have a separation between the two.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because self-defense is a form of fighting, but I guess it can be construed as what type of fighting, you know, because a good example, in Cholefa, we have this strike called, most people say it's like panther punch, but we say eye aiming. So it'll hit the eye, it'll hit the nose, or it'll hit the throat, right? And so if you're constantly training that particular strike, no matter self-defense or a fight, and if my target is the throat, and if I'm training with full speed and power, let's say I'm 200 pounds, and I got 200 pounds behind the strike, it's self-defense, bam! I don't think he's coming back for that.
Yeah, that's a vital shot.
You know? But in Cholefa, they know no other way. They don't train that no other way. This strike is not a strike to use to hit the body. Yep. It's not like that. So to do a strike like that, you know, the intent is to do some damage. You know, and so if it comes down to a self-defense, or if it comes down to a fight, to me it's like I can't really decipher one between the other, because, you know, this is how my mind has been conditioned for so many years, that it only knows this, either a self-defense or a fight situation. The intruder coming, respond. It don't know no other way. The mind doesn't tell me, okay, well, this is a lesser evil,
okay,
so to speak.
I got
the mind doesn't tell me that. It just tells me an intruder and respond.
Okay.
You know, and so in that sense, to me, it's kind of hard to decipher between self-defense and fighting. I advocate that, you know, that's why we practice. So if anything like that, we would be able to defend ourselves with a certain level of control. Hopefully, you know, we can get out of the situation without having, I mean, sometimes you can have the best self-defense and don't even throw a strike.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and sometimes that is the better, to, you know, to not even throw a strike. It's funny, and it's a thin line. It really is. I taught in Oakland, Chinatown for 12 years. All my students were Chinese.
Oh, okay.
I only had maybe 2 black students.
Interesting.
And to this day, I'm treated like royalty in Oakland, Chinatown.
Nice.
They still have respect for me. You know, I can go to Oakland, Chinatown and ask them for anything, and they still support me to this day. So, but my teacher told me in Hong Kong, he was like, you know, you taught a lot of Chinese. Why not your own people? They deserve to be healthy, and they deserve to have the knowledge. And I'm like, well, you know, I haven't closed the door to nobody, and I teach anybody that want to learn. It just so happens at that time frame, I had a lot of Asians that wanted to learn, but I've been pretty well received by the Asian community. I mean, they've been supporting me like big time, and you know, I feel kind of lucky. I tell people this story all the time. You know, they had a lot of teachers that teach in Oakland, Chinatown, and what we had this area called Tai Chi Park.
Okay.
And they had like Bap Mei, Northern Shaolin, Hong Ga, Wing Chun, Bakwa, Tai Chi, Xingyi. They had all this stuff out there. And then the guy Chu Siu Kei from Hong Kong, very famous kung fu writer and a very famous Cholefa teacher. He had family here in Oakland at the time. I didn't know. And so he come around and look at all the groups. Then he come back to my group. And I say, hey, Sifu Chu. And he was like, you know me? I said, of course I know you. And he, you know, and of all the groups, then he come out and hang out with my group.
Nice.
And that's initially when we started our kind of like friendship. That I think I've been kind of lucky in that sense that, you know, I've had the support that I had with the Chinese community. I mean, I even like my family in Hong Kong love them because they, you know, they are for real. I'm lucky in that sense. I'm lucky.
Okay, we did it again. Yet another 5 crucial questions with another Kung Fu master. Remember guys, if you haven't already, subscribe down below, hit that little bell so you can be up to date on all those notifications whenever we drop new content. Remember, follow me on my social media as well so you guys will get all the behind the scenes on upcoming events that we're planning for the channel. And believe me, we got a lot. Remember, good things are going, me going tell ya.
No.
And now, as promised, I did not forget you. Some self-defense techniques from Chole Foot. Then guys, what'd you think about the interview? Learn anything new? Drop a little like down below. It really helps me out, and share if you can, because that helps the channel grow as well. And thanks again to Sifu Troy for being a part of this video.
Hey, this is Sifu Troy Dunwood. Thank you for watching Kung Fu Chronicles.
Guys, check out a few other vids you may like while you're here. Stay safe, see you guys in the next round, and of course, keep punching.